Are you feeling bored in your marriage? Here's a little perspective change that might help you out. I'm Brian Bandis, and this is The Married Man.
It's time to put on your big boy pants.
All right, boys, let's get to business. This is The Married Man, where we talk about what matters most, and that is bringing your absolute best as a husband and as a father. Are you feeling bored in your marriage? Here is a potential perspective change that could help you, and I'm going to tell you sort of a quirky story from a couple weeks ago, and I'll do my best to sort of convey the epiphany that I had through this experience. But first, I want to talk to you about thought habits and perspectives, because that's what this comes down to. So when I say, hey, here's a perspective change that might help you, you need to understand that it is our perspective and our worldview that affects how we respond to certain situations. My point is that if you're feeling bored in your marriage, it's not necessarily because your marriage is boring or your life is boring or something's missing. It could absolutely be because you are interpreting things incorrectly, or that you have negative, harmful thought patterns that are causing you to feel that way. Our perspectives and our thought habits and patterns drive our behavior, and they drive our response to the world. So let me share this epiphany, because it could contribute to you beginning to change some thought patterns that are probably not that helpful. So my buddy and I went on a short weekend business trip to some cabins out in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And it was basically a year-end trip to evaluate, here's how our businesses did, here's some changes we need to make. We went and got some meals together, but most of it was, during the day we'll split up, we'll do some brainstorming and some whiteboarding, whatever, and then we'll go get a meal and that kind of thing. So we're driving back to the cabin, and we drive past this woman, and she's on a jog, and she's doing her thing, she's probably on vacation. And I had this little thought, man, it's so interesting, like some guys come on a trip like this, and they would see that woman and decide to take the opportunity to essentially be unfaithful to their wives, right? Sort of the what happens in Vegas type of mindset, right? And then I thought, I wonder why guys decide to do that. And I sort of went down that rabbit hole in my mind, particularly if we have a decent marriage. Why do we walk out on that? Well, one of those excuses that we hear is boredom. I wanted something different. I wanted to experience something different or new. And then it dawned on me, well, my wife is always kind of new. She's a person. She's constantly changing. She's growing, as we all do. As she gets older, she's changing her perspective and finding new interests and accomplishing new things. Doesn't even mean that I necessarily particularly have to like every single change. But the point is, my wife is constantly changing, as all of us are. The irony there is that sometimes that's the same excuse that I hear for why guys don't want to work on their marriage. Well, she's changed. She's not the same as she used to be. To which I say, isn't that a good thing? Do you really want someone who doesn't change? Do you really want to be married to the same person you married when you guys were 22 or 25 or whatever? I don't. One of the things that I think is awesome about my wife is that she is constantly changing and growing. Her perspective is changing. She's morphing into a different and a renewed person. And I freaking hope I'm doing the same thing. I mean, good grief. I better not be the same guy I was when she met me. That would be a real disappointment to her. So the shift in your perspective is to begin to see your wife changing as a good thing, and begin to look at that and actually value that and treasure it, and be curious about who your wife's becoming and why. What are the experiences that are causing her to maybe change her view or to change the way she interacts with the world? I think my point is that there's plenty of excitement in meeting the new person that is your spouse every day, week, month, and year that goes by. And if you are interested enough, choosing proactively to be interested enough in that person, the boredom can kind of go away. I'm not saying it's effortless. I'm not saying that it solves every problem. I'm not saying that you will never feel bored in your life or in your marriage. But I do think it's a valuable shift in our perspective to go, man, my wife is constantly changing and growing as a person. I should be constantly changing and growing as a person. And that offers me a ripe field of opportunity to learn new things and discover and understand new things about my spouse. If you've made a decision that your marriage is that important to you, then that opportunity is there, and it's a gift. And you can decide to stay engaged and curious about the person that your wife is becoming. And the beauty is, and I say this in some form or another on just about every video, that's gonna be somewhat contagious. And over time, if that is who you are and how you treat your wife, you're more than likely gonna experience that same treatment back from her. You show a deep interest and care about who she is and what she values and who she's becoming, over time, you're gonna receive that back. Now listen, your perspectives, your thought patterns, I mean, heck, a thought pattern or a thought habit is just that. It's a habit. It takes time to change. change. So you're not gonna flip a light switch, bing, and have this suddenly change. It takes time. But if you develop an awareness and make a decision, a conscious decision to go, I'm going to pay attention to who my wife is becoming and how she's changing, and I'm gonna value that. That's gonna be a powerful shift in your perspective on your marriage and on your wife and who she is. So that's all I got for you, boys. As you know, The Married Man, we post 2 videos a week. Listen, all I ask is that if you're getting something out of these videos, if they are contributing somehow to you becoming a better husband and a better father and a better man, then click that subscribe button down below so that you can continually be challenged and encouraged to become the kind of husband and the kind of father that I know that you want to be. See you in a couple days.